Hello and good afternoon. My name is Levi. These are my wonderful colleagues Victoria and Danielle. We are STRAT Solutions, and we are extremely excited to be with you three young entrepreneurs during this very pivotal and important moment in your lives. You have been afforded a great opportunity in acquiring a company with aging ownership to provide a youthful spirit to it. It's our job to be here today to recommend you the best way to pitch this to the bank in order to gain the capital and financial capacity necessary to capitalize upon this. Now there's some things that the bank's going to want to know from you. Financial capital. What is required of you? Change management. How are you going to manage the change of ownership between the older owners that are currently there and you youthful young entrepreneurs, as well as growth potential of the company and the industry? Where is it going? Now, an important thing to highlight right now, you're considering a lot of moving parts, whether it's auctions, acquisitions, online presence. There's a lot of different things you're really considering, and a bank is going to want more of a simplified, concrete solution. How are you going to be able to provide them with the return on capital that's necessary to make it a worthwhile opportunity for them? So that brings us to a recommendation which we'll be getting to later on, which is going to be leaning towards an online auction platform for this company to acquire. Value proposition. What's it going to bring to the table? Enhanced auction experience for both the buyers and for the sellers, as well as expanding the auction territory. Now again, the primary reason we're here today. What's the best business proposal to pitch to the bank in securing a loan to purchase Borealis auctions? And again, required capital, a key consideration, what is actually required of the bank in order to finance this acquisition? Change management. How are you going to be able to manage the movement from the older owners towards you younger entrepreneurs and maintain a lot of the tacit knowledge that is there within that ownership, as well as the growth potential, as mentioned, of the company, of the industry, where is it going to be going? Now quickly, to answer the question right off the bat of, they believe they're worth $500,000. Based on our quick analysis, land of $300,000, equipment of $153,000, other fixed assets of $55,000, roughly $500,000 of assets, but they have $100,000 line of credit is currently outstanding. Total value of assets about $408,000. But given the value of the contacts, the knowledge that they have within the company, and their connections within the industry, even giving this a conservative estimate of about 30% for goodwill, company value of about $530,000, we believe that the $500,000 value that they're asking for is more than fair and more than reasonable and a great price. So internally, looking at this company, first, the dedicated customer base. This is a fantastic strength. It's valuable, it's rare. Of course, customers are able to imitate this. This provides competitive parity and is an advantage for purchasing the company. They have a great customer base, and this provides a solid platform to further build off of. The competitive advantage, a reputation as a credible appraiser. Fantastic reputation with these contacts, the reason that they're able to secure this customer base. It's valuable, it's rare, difficult to imitate, and thus competitive advantage. Now as far as a weakness, limited market reach. A lot of Borealis' current operations are focused in Ontario, and with Ontario and expected to have even a short-term slowdown in auctions, this is a current weakness. Externally, looking within the environment. Current opportunities, online auctions. This is a current shift in the industry. There's a great opportunity as far as online auctions go to provide an ease and a convenience to both your customers and the buyers, increasing the efficiency of the industry, as well as off-site auctions. So this is auctions outside of your base in Ontario, whether it's to other areas in Canada. As far as threats the industry is currently facing, an increase in private sales online, as well as competition. There's a few dozen people in the industry very similar to yourselves, as well as a very large competitor with a 60% market share. So difficult competition within the industry is definitely a threat to consider going forward.
So now, as mentioned, the goal today is to figure out how to best position you to take advantage of this opportunity that is the purchase of Borealis auctions. And in choosing what the best method for you to present to the bank and how to secure that loan, we wanted to look at a couple of different things. We wanted to see how you're going to increase your market share. You'd like to expand and grow, and you've brought forward some ideas. We want to increase auction sales. Now, as mentioned, there is a number of there's a number of competitors, and your largest competitor holds over 200 auctions a year. However, you only held 5 last year. So increasing the number of auction sales, whether that be online auctions or more physical auctions, is a great way to look at that. As well to maximize revenue. Now you're taking this proposal to the bank. The bank wants to ensure that you are going on a profitable venture, so you'll be able to repay not only interest regularly each year, but also be able to repay that complete loan. So maximizing revenue and ensuring that this is a business opportunity that has long-term success and present that to the bank will be a great way to show them that you can repay that loan and that they should help you with the financing. Now, one of the first methods that we identified based on the information on the company, the business proposal you had drafted at this point, was to increase the number of physical auctions that you hold each year. So currently your auctions are very heavily based in Ontario. That is your key market where the majority of your revenues are coming from. We propose looking at holding auctions across Canada. So now this would open up your market to a number of new buyers, a number of new sellers who perhaps haven't heard of your auctions or maybe considered coming in the past, but the logistics of traveling to Southern Ontario didn't quite work for them. This helps you enter the new geographical markets, which will in turn bring more customers, more buyers, more sellers. Some downsides to this might be the consumer interest. Now, as I'm sure you're aware, the Borealis company has a policy in place right now that in order to hold an auction, they have to project at least $100,000 of auction revenue, commission revenue off the auction items. So one downside to this alternative might be that you plan to have an auction in, let's say, Western Canada. However, when it comes close to that auction time, you realize that there simply isn't the demand, either in the buyers or the sellers, and thus you're unable to hold that auction. As well, holding an auction in other locations other than your current physical warehouse where you have the ability to have an auction requires either renting for a somewhat extended period of time and location, or perhaps investing in purchasing land or a building in another area. So this requires some higher capital costs. Another option would be to diversify the amount of equipment that you carry. So currently you have a wide variety of equipment, and the belief is, deep in the Borealis company, is that the more equipment you have available for market or for auction, the greater number of buyers who are going to come. The theory in the auction market is the high bidding items, the desired items, will bring buyers to your market. So under this, you would look at increasing the number of products that you are selling at an auction. This would in turn interest more sellers, make it an easier way to market your auctions. We have great product variety. Come to our auction. Now, one cost to this is the increased cost of acquiring those items, whether that be by marketing to more sellers to bring their items to your auction opposed to one of your competitors, or whether that be acquiring equipment yourself via your acquisition or your appraisal channels right now, which is where you do get a great amount of auction inventory. But these do come at a cost. So you're either having to spend more money yourself on directly acquiring those items to auction off, or you're going to be spending more on marketing. So the third area that was brought forth in the business proposal as a possible area for you to look at is to have an online auction platform. Now, currently, there is an increase in trends moving towards online sales, and this is an opportunity that was mentioned earlier. So this way, you're able to enter new geographic markets without having to physically go open up an auction area and host that physical auction in other areas. This is more accessible for buyers and for sellers as they can shop from the comfort of their home. They don't have to leave their physical area to come to your auction. Maybe in the past they've heard of your brand name, as I mentioned, but it just didn't work for them to come to Southern Ontario and physically attend your auctions. Now they can do so from the comfort of their home within minutes. So one downside to this is the buyer habits. Currently, the way that the auction system works with this company is buyers are able to come into the auction yards in the morning and preview all the items in person before the bidding actually begins. While there is an increase in movement towards auction sales online, there are some buyers that perhaps aren't willing to take a risk on a photo or on a video or description they see on the internet and would want to see that tangible item themselves. As well, there might be some logistical complications, as now you'd be involved with more of the shipping and perhaps tariffs if this person was from a foreign country. So while there is great demand in other areas, you would have to look at the logistical side of this and perhaps adding more people to your team or building that into the web design. Now, as I mentioned, this is to take the proposal to the bank and present the most sound and solid proposal for the bank to show them how this is a profitable venture and to show them the possibility that you three see. Now, as I mentioned, bank wants to make sure you can pay them back. So here we have a breakdown of projected revenues from each of the three alternatives. The first alternative focusing on having a greater number of in-person auctions, Then the second, having a greater diversity of products at those auctions, whether you just focusing more on acquiring more opposed to increasing the number of auctions. And then there is to add on the online auction portion. And referring back to those original decision criteria that we touched on and really was our focus going forward, we wanted to increase market share, we wanted to increase the number of auction sales, and we wanted to make sure it is profitable and shows long-term growth and profitability for this bank. And at that, we arrived at the online auction platform as the best way to position yourself to the bank as you enter those important budget meetings.
Thanks, Victoria. So at this point, you're probably thinking, why can't you do it all? Why are these three proposals separate? And the fact is, you as entrepreneurs always think that that's the possibility. But in order to show that the bank that you are going to be able to have a long-term profitability gain, you have to be best at one thing that you can do. There's too many moving parts. So by recommending the online auction platform, you're going to be able to specialize in this one best unique alternative and then potentially open the floor up to new in the future. And so this situation and proposal to you is going to reduce the number of people dependent in the Ontario market for auctioning, as well as create the highest long-term sustainability for growing market share, for growing revenues, etc. It also increases your client base. So for buyers coming to your auctions in multiple different areas throughout Canada and potentially the States. So the loan ask. How much do you need from the bank? So currently with you three entrepreneurs combined, $65,000 equity together. As Levi mentioned, $500,000 for the purchase of this as a fair value works at $500,000 that you're going to need for this loan from the bank. And so once you establish that, your timeline continues. And so if we take a brief look at this timeline, there's probably a million things running through your head on how we can start this right now. And this is what you're going to do. So now you're going to obtain this loan and purchase Borealis. Then, in the next 2 to 3 months, you're going to gather that industry knowledge from the current management in that position. That's very essential. Continuing on with the next year, you're going to hire some new salespeople and increase the amount of people in your team and develop this online website platform, which will then be launched within the next couple of years. Once that online platform has been launched, expand into an app development and further in the future a 5-year plus. So let's take a look at now. As I just mentioned, you're going to pitch this to the bank for $500,000. Your value proposition is that you have a new buyer market and you're expanding your territory. The business is booming, you are growing. This is how it's best going to work, as well as the long-term proposal and the increase in revenues, as Victoria mentioned, amongst the 3 different proposals. The official purchase will happen with the contracts in place, with the legal team of Borealis, in as soon as possible. We're ending the year of 2015 right now. So through this next couple months and through 2016, you're going to best be able to finish this as well as move on to working in the industry knowledge. So you identified a bunch of things that are going to be the most important going forward. You need to know this business. You're entrepreneurs from 3 different varied backgrounds right now. So in order to be successful, you're going to need to understand the industry and the knowledge. How are you going to do this? Larry and Jerry have that expertise. They're nearing retirement right now. They want to hand over this company to someone that wants it, is passionate about it, someone that can take it over, and that is you. You 3 can do that. So with their expertise, working close in hand with them, you'll be able to increase your sales, knowledge, everything about the industry. You're going to meet with the previous contracts they have in place. They both have great connections, great people that they currently work with. Why not leverage them? They're staying on with you for the next 1 to 3 years. That is the perfect platform for you guys to increase that and continue their business and further yours. Meeting with those new contacts, establishing new relationships and new opportunities in the industry. Like I said, once it's your business, then you have new options. You can do what you like. 3 to 12 months in the future, you're going to hire 2 new sales members, and you're going to learn from their existing platforms. So these 2 sales members are going to go out west across Canada. So as Victoria mentioned, you're currently in the Ontario region. Going west is going to acquire new business for that platform, as well as you're going to start and hire an IT manager, director to design your website. So this is going to happen within a year. And this is going to be the starting point to this new proposal. The online auction is your value proposition. And the fact that this is the most important part of your business is something that you really need to focus on. So within that, the IT team will launch this website, including all of the new auctions, the buyers looking for it, etc. So this website will be launched in 2 years from now. This will get going. The IT communication with the auction team is going to be essential, maintaining the live updates of it, putting new auctions online as they gather those new contracts through the construction industry and such. Being able to diversify the product offerings and put everything online for those consumers to view is going to be just as important as maintaining those live auctions you currently hold. So this will be your focus, but don't forget, you still have live auctions to maintain. So both are just as important moving forward. In order to show that you have a new increased amount of live auctions as well as this new website launch, that you're promoting how efficient and ease of access it's going to be for your new buyers. A marketing campaign showing this is going to be also very important. So this campaign is going to show your new website, the live updates, and it's going to build brand awareness amongst the current competitors that are maybe now looking onto of what you have done further in the industry, your current buyers, future buyers, etc. Then the app development is going to start, and the app development is going to be very similar to the website, but also even easier for the buyers. And that is because there'll be a schedule of different times when the auctions are, location, places. They can get push notifications to their phone, being when the new auction is. They don't have to log on to the website. They don't have to check their emails. This is going to be even easier, as well as the same capabilities of the website, being able to buy and sell on there as well. The next 5 years plus, you asked us what we think is what can happen with this future company that you want to purchase. And we think Borealis has much future potential, as we mentioned here in our value proposition. And so, if this expands, we are increasing your market share. By being able to go online, you can then reach customers and buyers all over Canada, as well as the States, and potentially the rest of North America. But is that enough for you? There's an option to expand overseas. Obviously, there will be logistical requirements with shipping these auctioned off items across seas. That is something you can deal with at the time. Another option is to go public. You can send out initial public offering, put these shares on the market, see how much your company is worth at that time. As well as you can sell to Ritchie Brothers. So, as mentioned, you know that they're one of your highest competition. They currently hold 60% of the market. You will potentially, and hopefully with this new proposal, be able to acquire some of that percent to bring it down, but that might be a good point in time to sell them as you've increased your awareness, increased your market share, and become more diverse in your product offerings. That might be another option for you. So if we look at risks and mitigation currently, we see that a current risk is that the bank denies your loan application. And then at this time, what we will do is you will revisit your business plan on either looking at the revenue projected, seeing how much the value of the company's worth, etc., or approach a new bank. You're not stuck in stone with this current bank right now. You have initial meetings set up with them, but there's many other options. Another risk is that Borealis rejects this offer. We don't see this as a thing that is going to happen due to the fact that those current management team are looking to get out. They're nearing retirement. They want, as I mentioned, they want people to take over this business, such as young entrepreneurs as yourself. If so, if this is still a complication, looking at the recognition of goodwill and potentially revaluing that to offer them a bigger proposal amount in the end. So with this summary in place, I'd just like to revisit the main essential points here. So your pitch to the bank is going to be essential in order to value your company and value the future company of Borealis and how you can purchase them the best that they're going to give you this loan. Under those couple constraints here of financial capital, change management, and growth potential. By growing your business with an online platform, you're staying tuned to current trends in the market with consumers and being ahead of the industry and other auctioneers trying to do that as well as growing your market share, enhancing the auction experience for the consumers, and expanding the territory. We'd like to open the floor to any questions.
Just a question. So, looking at a scenario where you want to go to the bank and look for $500,000 in financing, tangible assets in the company are only about $400,000. So, given that situation, how do you, what strategy do you focus on? We're basically looking for a tranche of unsecured financing as well, which is much harder to get from the bank. So what would be your strategy for convincing the bank that it's a good loan for them?
Well, based on some financial projections that we have, we saw revenue, can we go back to the revenue projection slide? So revenue projections, based on number 3 there, that's the alternative that we're going with. And you see revenue projections of 1.6 to 3.1, 3.9. And a big benefit to this alternative, again, is the reduced expenses due to the online auction income. So with income of $500,000 really known and very likely for 2017, and expenses only about $50,000 for the selling and, or commission, sorry. And with this revenue stream coming in, and much lower expenses for that revenue than you're currently having, we see it as a very profitable endeavor and one that would be very likely for the bank to take to.
You guys mentioned that our distinctive competency was our knowledge and experience in the appraisal part of the business. How does your strategy build on that and take advantage of the potential 3 times as much money we could be making on the appraisals right now?
So while you could be making 3 times the amount on the appraisals, the current income on those appraisals is about $2,500. So when you compare it to the actual income of the company right now, it's really pennies to the dollar. So we didn't see that as something that should necessarily be focused upon when there's bigger fish to fry, I guess.
How did you arrive at the company value? I mean, they want 500. We look at the shareholder equity that they've taken out on a line of credit. So they're basically choking the cash out of the organization. How did you arrive at 30% goodwill, and why wouldn't you lowball your offer?
We figured 30% goodwill just because of the value of the connections, the value of the tacit knowledge that the employees bring to it and the contacts that they bring to it. And so let me just go to that slide. Oh. Sorry. Yeah, so essentially $400,000 in assets less of their line of credit, a 30% value in goodwill. We figured just based on the intangibles that they bring to the table, as far as, like I mentioned, the company contacts, relationships within the industry. These are very important, and these are a reason that they're such a reputable brand. So we figured 30% was more, even a conservative estimate for goodwill there.
Did you look at earnings and try to do an earnings multiple and get some sense of where that would put the organization in terms of its price?
No, we decided to do an asset-based approach for that.
How do you convince the bank that you're not going out there and directly trying to compete with the eBays and Kijijis of the world?
I think the biggest thing for that is the fact that even though the Borealis has the potential to go online, those sites are not as auctioneer oriented as Borealis will be. And the fact that Borealis has a small team in place to do those auctions, do those acquisitions, the fact that you're not competing with those big ones because they're on a different scale. They're doing more minuscule, everyday items. Borealis is in the construction industry. They're doing huge equipment, and it's a different scale. So we believe that the fact that it's a different industry for those platforms isn't going to be like you're competing directly against them.
And just to touch on that, as Danielle mentioned, you are selling larger equipment items. Borealis is an accredited auctioneer. They have a certain level of prestige and trust established with their current buyers and sellers. So that's something that you would also bring for those companies that are looking to sell or people that are looking to purchase large items. As I've mentioned earlier, there may be some people that are hesitant about buying something online without seeing it in person, and the fact that they are an accredited business will give them an advantage over the eBays and Kijijis of the world.
There's a large number of sort of mom and pop shop auctioneers in our industry that Ritchie Brothers is acquiring one by one. Do you give any thought to expanding through acquisition?
While expanding through acquisition is a potential solution, we figured it isn't one that you should per se be focusing on at this point. Rather, you should be focusing on maybe leveraging your distinctive competency, which is your business know-how and essentially the tacit knowledge within the business. So leveraging that rather than more so focused on just acquiring other companies when there's little information regarding that right now.
And that's all the time we have for questions.
Good job.